Hello, my name is Robert Gibson, and I'm hosting Environmental Soup through the facilities of Trent Radio, or if you're listening on this on YouTube, I'm also on YouTube. And I have a Substack, Environmental Soup and Archives, which I will update and include older episodes of Environmental Soup, starting with the most recent ones. Today I will talk about a report on Ontario's progress to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which was released by the Auditor General of Ontario. And last week I talked about an item related to Bill 5 and 106 species that were going to be eliminated from the species at risk categorization. And I hope that you will write on the environmental registry about that. So let's get into it. For today, and I'm just going to switch screens. So I'll start with the report. It was released on October the 1st. Report on progress to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And these reports provide valuable insight into what the government of Ontario is doing on a variety of topics, including the environmental topics. And they were done by an independent officer of the Legislature of Ontario. Let's see. I'm just scrolling up to the top. So section 1.0, it says human activities have been releasing large volumes of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which increase global temperatures. And the Auditor General is saying that this is irreversible changes to climate, and that Ontario is facing more frequent and intense weather events and disasters, including floods, wildfires, ice storms, and extreme heat events. There was the Cap and Trade Cancellation Act, which requires the provincial government to set targets and prepare a plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And then there's the Environmental Bill of Rights, 1993, which authorizes the office to conduct a review of progress on activities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And then in 2018, Ontario set a target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 30% below 2005 levels by 2030. And then they're saying to meet this target, greenhouse gas emissions must be reduced by 17 megatons from 2023. And they're saying that that's the equivalent of moving 3.7 million, or 47% of all fossil-fueled passenger vehicles from Ontario's roads by 2030. So there's an issue already within this, and that the government, the federal government, removed electric vehicles. I'm just going to change the slide. So let's see where I am. Here it is. So there was an article, EVs left in limbo. And that's from the federal government. And this article is from the Pointer. The article is called EVs Left in Limbo After Mark Carney Hits the Brakes on Sales Mandate. And this was specifically for electric vehicles, which are not fossil fuel. And then I made a highlight. I think I only made one highlight in this article. Carney said the government would suspend the mandate for 2026 and initiated a 60-day review period to determine the future of the Keystone climate policy. So without this policy, and I don't think it's been 60 days yet, so we don't know if it's going to be completely cancelled or not. But without this policy, it's going to be very difficult to make the climate goals. Let's see. Because one way to do that, one way to reduce the greenhouse gases is to reduce fossil fuel consumption by vehicles. And 30% of vehicles, a third of emissions are from transportation. I'm just going to change the slide. And then there was a headline, Ontario drove Carney's decision to suspend the EV mandate, BC Energy Minister decks. In the Canadian press, and I highlighted the decision reflects circumstances in Ontario. So they're largely driven decisions because of what's happening in Ontario. And I will go to the next item. I think I might go back to where I was. Oh, okay. That's another one. Okay, so on top of this, Ontario is ordering public servants back to office full-time. So there's even more vehicles on the road. This is a huge issue. I don't think I highlighted anything in this article. But I do have two other articles that were related. Oh, I should say that one was from CBC, and then this one is from The Hill. And I have a Canadian example as well. This is a US. So this article is called In Office, Work Mandates Are Bad for the Environment. And this is an opinion. There was analysis by Mark Ma, at the University of Pittsburgh, Betty Zhang at the Baylor University, and Ling Zhang at the Rowan University. They looked at carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide over the 10 most and 10 least flexible U.S. metropolitan areas. Places where there was remote and hybrid schedules that were common capped emission levels roughly flat between 2019 and 2022. And in the least flexible metropolitan areas had a, quote, marked uptick in nitrogen dioxide, which is tied to traffic. It's a pollutant tied to traffic. And what other highlights? There was a 2023 study in the Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences that said that moving from full-time office work to full-time office from home slashes an employee's work-related carbon footprint by as much as 58%. And they also said that employees who stay at home 2 to 4 days a week still cut emissions 11 to 29%. And then a one-day remote policy still trims 2%, and that's because of extra errands, and higher home energy use cancel most of the advantage. There is another side. The energy can increase when people work from home because of inefficient heating and cooling. However, there are programs like heat pumps, thermostats, LED lightings that can restore benefit to working from home. And then there's another article this one is from CBC. As federal workers slam office mandate, study finds remote work cuts emissions, by Alexandra Jones. I don't think I highlighted anything in this article. But it says federal employees in Ottawa produce 25% fewer emissions when they work remotely compared to those who were working in the office full time. And then the decrease was more pronounced from employees in Quebec, where emissions will reduce 64% compared to in-person office. And it was funded by the government and produced by Carleton University. And I should also mention that there's a push to have federal workers work from home as well. And private sector companies are wanting people to work in the office. Private sector companies are wanting people to return to the office as well. But this is not good for the environment as well. So those are two big stories related. And then I don't know if this is... Oh, okay, I'll get to that. Those are the ones. So I'll go back. Oh, and I should say that these reports are good to look at if you want credible information and making delegations to the province on climate-related issues. These reports are very valuable. Or in communication and advocacy on climate issues. You can point to these all these reports that the Auditor General made, and some of the other ones that I've pointed out that have been in the news. So there was a section called What We Found. Ontario's emissions decreased by 22% between 2005 and 2023. And that was largely because of the elimination of coal-based electricity generation. And some of the drop was due to reduced industrial activity and production during the 2008 global economic downturn and due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm just going to take a small break. So I'm back from my break, and yes. So there was a graph. I know that you can't see if you're listening on radio or on my Substack, but it does show that there's been a dip around 2020 of the different types of different types of sectors, and there was something that happened in 2008. And transportation is the highest in Ontario. So, as I pointed out, the back to office mandates and the getting rid of the electric vehicles will make it more difficult to reach the greenhouse gas emissions reductions targets. There's another finding. The Ministry of Environment and Conservation and Parks, MECP, projected that Ontario will not meet its 2030 greenhouse reduction target. And there was a projection by the government, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, that it would be missed by 3.5 megatons. And they assumed provincial and federal government initiatives that impact greenhouse gas emissions will be or already fully implemented. And there was a heavy reliance on federal initiatives to reduce Ontario's emissions. So the report is saying that reductions from provincial and federal initiatives are not enough to meet the province's 2030 objective. This is a problem, but it's made worse because those incentives and the incentives and programs, some of them have been eliminated, including the carbon levy, which a lot of people refer to as a carbon tax. So it's going to be even more difficult to reach. And yeah, they say that it's emissions will the Auditor General says emissions will be higher than the MECP projected. There's also natural gas emissions infrastructure that the government of Ontario is imposing. And there's an overestimate of future greenhouse gas reductions from the agricultural sector. The provincial government has made, according to the Auditor General, little to no progress meeting its targets or implementing its 2017 commitment to ban organic from landfill. There's a lot of organics still going to the landfill from restaurants, individuals, and there's greenhouse gas emissions from that. And there's some provincial standards that are linked to standards in the US. This is a huge issue because the Trump administration is lowering standards. So I will switch slides because those are some things I want to show. Let's see. I wanted to go to. So there's a regulation OEG 509/18 energy and water efficiency appliances and products. And in that regulation, I don't know if I highlight. Okay, here it is. Appliances and products governed by the U.S. Department of Energy 10 Code of Federal Regulations. And then there was a bunch of them. A portable air conditioner, water heater, etc. Those 15 items. And then I went to the Act itself, Electricity Act 1998. And then I think I highlighted an item somewhere. I don't know why I highlighted that. Here. Section 25.35.7. Prescribed appliance or product means an appliance or product that has been prescribed by regulations. No person shall offer for sale or lease a prescribed appliance or product unless it meets efficiency standard or requirement that has been prescribed by regulation with respect to the appliance or product. And then, here. Well, I don't know where I highlighted it, but what I was getting at is that some items are regulated in the US by the Electricity Act and regulations under the Electricity Act. And I have 5 minutes. So the Energy Department slashed 47 regulations, and this is from the US Department of Energy. And air cleaners, portable air conditioners were included. We'll see what's how. And then there's another article, DOE proposes significant efficiency rollbacks, but don't celebrate just yet. This is from Keller and Heckman. I don't know if that's a credible article or not. And then I think these are different articles. And then I'm writing in my Substack, so and then there's an article in CBC. Yeah, so let's see. I don't think. Yeah, these are just like more details further in. The government also doesn't have anything beyond 2030. I'm just seeing if I highlighted anything else later on in the report. Doesn't look like it. But those are the main things. Let's see. And then they haven't looked at greenhouse gases changing from natural disturbances, which are happening more frequently, and the draft climate change plan is not supported by sound evidence. And yeah, so I will show my Substack again. There's two of them. I'm just looking it up. Where was it? Substack. I think it's my name. But those environmental soup and archives. And Robert W. Gibson .substack.com, and I have written some other articles and such as Doug Ford says he cares about animals, evidence says otherwise. And I will also post archive material of Environmental Soup. So thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of your day. and I will be signing off.